The marriage last July was a double celebration.
Happy birthday to you.
Nelson's 80th birthday and South Africa's wedding of the year.
My wife and I.
I've seen pictures of the wedding. It seemed like you two were having a very good time.
Are you married, Bob?
I am, yes.
A marriage is the only thing in life you really make a choice. Did you know that? You choose everything. You don't choose when you want to be born. You don't choose when you are going to die. But marriage is the only thing you can choose every single detail of what you want. And that's why it's so special for everybody.
You were radiating joy.
And I was, yes, I must tell you. I was very happy.
So who is this woman who found happiness with the world's most respected statesman? She's a woman with a past, a powerful and tragic past. For years, she was the First Lady of Mozambique, a country next door to South Africa. When her first husband, the president of Mozambique, was killed in a mysterious plane crash, she became a leader in her own right. When Nelson Mandela visited Mozambique shortly after he was released from prison, she was one of the first people he met.
It was a meeting of comrades.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It was still
very,
formal.
Very friendly, very comradely, and nothing else. How did we meet in terms of eye to eye and to have something clinging between the two of us? This is our secret.
Graça saw Nelson as too much of a hero to consider him as a husband. And while Graça and Nelson occasionally bumped into each other at official events, wedding bells were far from her mind. Then came Nelson's divorce from Winnie. He cut a forlorn figure at the time, accusing Winnie of brazen infidelity and admitting that not once since his release from jail had she visited his bedroom while he was awake.
You described your first meeting as a meeting of comrades, and I don't doubt it for a minute. But it was also, at the same time, was it not a meeting of two very lonely people?
Both of us had been lonely, it is true. But more important is not having been lonely, is that when you have suffered in life, and if you are lucky as we are, to get a very happy moment, you'll enjoy it much, much, much better than before.
What do you think it was that sparked Nelson Mandela and Graça Machel to get together?
He was looking for a companion after the relationship with Winnie disintegrated, and I think he was, in effect, auditioning women for that role, which is a fantastic role.
Richard Stengel co-authored Nelson Mandela's autobiography.
He's always been attracted to strong women. He likes women who are dynamic. He likes women who are surprising. He doesn't want a woman who's simply dutiful. In Graça, he saw someone who was an equal, someone who wasn't going to be dazzled by him because he was Nelson Mandela.
That's because Graça Machel is also a formidable personality. At home, she's seen as the future president of Mozambique. And internationally, she's renowned as a fierce advocate of children's rights. She recently headed a study for the United Nations on the effects of war on children around the world. She succeeded in bringing the issue to the Security Council of the United Nations for the first time.
Children have always been casualties of war. What's different now?
Well, now it's because children are not only casualties of war, children are targets in many ways. They're exactly targeted. It is a strategy which exactly goes to those who are the most vulnerable to try to reach those who are powerful.
It's not only cruel, but it's sophisticated. If you target children, you're targeting the next generation, you're targeting literacy, you're targeting all the things that eventually will destroy you.
That's exactly the problem, is that these people are not waging a war today, you know. They are planting wars for generations to come.
Her prominence on the world stage is astonishing, considering where Graça Machel came from, a small village in deepest, darkest Mozambique, where she was born to illiterate peasants. Friends say she was a teenager when she got her first pair of shoes.
My father died about 20 days before I was born, and my mother was left with 6 children. She was living only of what she could cultivate in the fields and so forth. So she struggled to keep us together.
Is that true? You didn't have shoes?
No, it is true.
At a time when very few Mozambican children even had a classroom to go to, Graça made it to high school and to university. Education became her passport to another world and to a leading role in Mozambique's struggle for independence from Portuguese rule.
Did you learn how to fight?
Oh, yes, I did. I did, as everybody else. I mean, one of the first things you would do when you join the liberation, you should know how to defend yourself and how to defend people around you. So we needed to be trained, all of us.
So you had weapons training?
Oh, yes, I did. I did.
Did you ever fire your weapon?
Yes, I did fire, but I'm glad to report I didn't kill anybody.
It was during the Bush War that she met Samora Machel, Africa's legendary freedom fighter. When Mozambique became independent, he was elected the country's first president. She became Minister of Education. They became man and wife. But the same South African regime that held Nelson Mandela in prison felt threatened by the new black leaders of Mozambique. After all, the two countries shared a border, and freedom is a virus which spreads. In 1986, Samora Machel was flying home to the Mozambican capital. Graça was expecting him for dinner, but by midnight, hours after he'd been expected, there was still no word.
Suddenly, my heart started beating very strongly, and that's when I felt apparently there's something wrong.
You knew?
Yeah, something was wrong.
Machel's plane had plowed into a hill on the South African side of the border with Mozambique. He and 34 others died on impact. And within minutes of the crash, South African security forces mysteriously appeared. Survivors said they were more interested in identifying Samora Machel than they were in helping the few passengers who'd survived. Graça has always been convinced the South Africans engineered the crash, and she's a lot less willing than Mandela to forgive and forget.
You're convinced that the South Africans, the white South Africans, killed your first husband? They kept your second husband in jail for 27 years? How would you describe your feelings towards the white South Africans?
Not exactly towards the white South Africans. What we are talking about the South African, I mean, the apartheid regime, the regime as such, yeah. I won't lie to you. I have very, very strong and negative feelings against them. I am not probably as good as Madiba is.
As your husband Mandela?
No. I just want to know the truth, actually. What I want to know who killed Samara, and I want to know how they killed him.
For the next 5 years, Mrs. Machel stayed in a prison of her own making. She wore nothing but black. It was eventually a remark from her young son, an innocent observation, that cracked through her grief.
And he said, I even closed my eyes and I tried to think how my mama looked before she was in black, and I just couldn't remember you. So I understood what was the message.
So you decided to stop wearing black. But did you think back then that you'd ever find happiness again?
You know, there were times I thought I wouldn't. I even made it public that I would never marry again. And I was serious. I meant it.
Graça was so serious that, according to her new husband, Nelson Mandela, it took him years on his knees to convince her to marry him.
What was it that made you change your mind after pledging for so many years that you'd never remarry?
No, it's just the way he is. He didn't need to be persuasive in a very special manner. But the way he is, he made me change my mind.
And according to Richard Stengel, Graça had the grace Nelson Mandela was searching for.
I mean, he's a great lover of women, but he loves freedom even more. And that woman had to be a lover of freedom as well. And I think one of the things that he saw in Graça was that a woman who had made sacrifices like he had.
I mean, a lover of freedom might not be sufficient. It's easy to say I'm a lover of freedom, but Graça had suffered because she was in the struggle.
Right. She paid her dues.
And after years of paying his dues, Nelson Mandela steps down as president of South Africa next month.
In a few months, I'll be standing next to the road, saying, please help. Unemployed. No money. A new wife.
But Nelson won't be standing on any road. He'll be living in one of the poshest streets in Johannesburg with 4 of his grandchildren and his new bride.
You've said that you've been married to the 2 tallest trees in Africa.
Yes, I can't deny that.
And the forces of evil, if you'll permit me, tried to cut the trees down, but they couldn't destroy the forest.
That's the beautiful story of her. That's why this relationship it's really so sweet. It's really sweet.